Welcome back to another Windgrace Star Trek Picard Season 2 theory video. This one, however, not so much a theory as I believe we've just received 99.9% confirmation on who the Watcher is supposed to be. So without wasting any more time, let's get into it. I do want to give a shout out to Brett J on this one. In my last theory video about who the Watcher might be, I had come to the conclusion that I was pretty sure it was Gary 7. And he commented that he thought it was going to be Isis, the cat of Gary 7. And I think that is a dead-on ringer for who this is going to be. As you can see, here is Isis in her cat form as she appeared in the original Star Trek series. And let's go over a few pieces of information as well as theories as to why I believe this is the correct answer for the Watcher. Now, if you aren't aware, Assignment Earth took place in 1968 New York City for the most part. We started out on the Enterprise and had a couple of scenes there. Basically, what the premise of this episode had in mind was a backdoor pilot for a series that never came to fruition. Now, it was kind of a cross between James Bond and I think Doctor Who in execution, and it was supposed to be one of the first spin-offs from Star Trek at the end of Season 2 when things were looking a little dire for the series. Brief rundown of what happened in the episode. This alien, for lack of a better word, even though he is human, is transporting across the galaxy. The Enterprise had traveled back to 1968 in order to do a little bit of history reconnaissance, kind of to figure out what happened, why Earth survived such a volatile period of its history. And they intercept this transporter beam of a man who looks human, scans as human, and reveals himself to be a prototypical human from the time period. His name is Gary 7, and after he finds out that the Enterprise has been sent from the future, he basically tells them, "You've got to let me go because you're interfering in history. I'm of the time, and I've been sent here to correct or influence the way history is supposed to unfold on Earth." He gives them a little bit of a rundown on who he is. He says that he's a Class 1 supervisor from a race of super advanced aliens who kind of want to keep an eye on the galaxy and make sure that people are evolving in ways that keep the galaxy relatively peaceful. He was taken from Earth roughly 6,000 years ago with some other people and kind of groomed, trained, evolved into somebody that could be sent back to Earth to keep an eye on it. Now, it's never explicitly stated if they've been doing this for other planets with other races and other species. I'm pretty sure that's the case because at one point he does mention that the situation on Earth in 1968 is roughly equivalent to what happened on Omicron 4. So I believe that they're doing this all over the galaxy, if not even beyond. So he gets captured by Kirk and crew just so that we can have a plot involving our characters from the Enterprise so that it doesn't seem like a completely out of the blue series. He manages to escape with the help of his cat Isis, who appears to be more than meets the eye. He also has a device that's very similar to the sonic screwdriver from Doctor Who, although it seems to have even more power than that. He escapes his cell. He's able to influence people mentally. We see him sort of freezing them in their tracks, knocking them out into what looks like a state of bliss. So he does have some sort of mental control over people as well as technology, because as we see a little later in the episode, he is able to not only disable the force field, do a little communication, but he's also able to gift technology the ability it shouldn't have. For instance, once he escapes back down to Earth, he doesn't transform a typewriter, but he gives the typewriter the ability to type based on speech. So it's basically a speech to text somehow in without installing any new technology. So this, whatever it is, this pen, this device, I think he calls it a servo, is way more advanced than any real tech we've seen in Star Trek before, except for maybe that magic fix anything device they introduced at the end of last season of Picard. Anyways, he goes on this little adventure, meets a Earth girl, finds out that the two people that he was sent here to investigate, the two people that were agents on Earth before, were killed in a car accident, and that he needs to figure out what their mission was and kind of take over and make sure Earth doesn't destroy itself. And what he finds out is there's a nuclear platform being launched by the United States in basically 1 hour and 27 minutes. And if he doesn't stop it, it's going to devolve our planet into World War III. I guess ahead of schedule, because as we know in Star Trek, there is a World War III. But he needs to stop this, or else the course of human history will not stay on track, and we will not advance into the culture or the Interplanetary Federation that we are supposed to in a couple hundred years. Kirk and Spock, they're not really sure what's going on. They feel like they're responsible for this and need to stop him, but they're not positive. So they're trying to stop him at the same time he's trying to, subvert this nuclear platform. Little chase, a lot of shenanigans going on with, Spock's ears being uncovered and trying to stop this. It's a fun little adventure. It would have been an interesting show had it been picked up, but that's basically where, the storyline here. It's a Doctor Who James Bond / character with a cat that has inexplicable powers we haven't really seen yet, and a companion who is a human from Earth of the contemporary period. So it would have been a very Doctor Who James Bond-ish type show had it continued. Anyways, this takes place in New York City. His office is in New York City. I don't know if that's going to play anything into Picard going forward, but here is why I think this is absolutely going to be who the Watcher is. Well, I thought it was Gary Seven. He may be involved. It does seem now like Isis is going to be that character. Now, he has a transportation bay, so he's got the servo technology, which can influence people's minds. We saw that in Star Trek Picard, whoever the Watcher is was able to take control of humans, kind of project herself through them. Not even sure if who was revealed to be the Watcher, Laris, is the true body, or maybe a copy, a shapeshift. I don't know. They haven't explained that yet. But whoever the Watcher is able to control the bodies of humans with, I'm thinking, something like this servo technology. Now, he also has this door here, which is, in essence, a transport bay. The smoke fills it, and he transports to wherever the heck he's going. You can see here, this is how it looks before he enters. This is how it looks when he's going into transport somewhere else. And that last scene before the Q epilogue of Star Trek Picard Episode 4 had Laris and Picard going through what seems to be a smoke-filled door. Now, if that's not the same technology, just updated for the modern age, I don't know what is. At the very end of Assignment Earth from Star Trek, we do see Isis the cat has the ability to shapeshift into what I'm not sure is her true form. It could be into just a humanoid form. But here she is, very, very briefly, wearing this 60s appropriate sexy getup, with the long black hair, still has a little collar around her neck, so you can tell she's still the cat, sort of. That was what was implied. And then she immediately, turns back into the cat before anyone sees her, except for the human companion character. This may not be her true form. She may have the ability to shapeshift into a lot of things. But if we take this and compare it against the way Laris looks when she reveals herself as a Watcher, whether or not she's supposed to be playing the same character, whether or not she can take the form of a human based on, the mental images of someone else, I'm wondering. She obviously got in the head of Picard earlier in this episode to tell that he had the communicator. She was in the head of other people. I'm wondering if she shapeshifted into a form that Picard had on the forefront of his mind. Obviously, she altered it to look human, so she's not strolling around as a Romulan in 2024. That remains to be seen, but I think these pieces of evidence are basically 100% proof that, if not Isis herself as a character and Gary Seven himself as a character are the Watchers, that it's the exact same race of people, and it's just a newer, updated version of these Watchers, these agents. What do they call themselves? He was a supervisor. The two people he was replacing were agents. We never got a name. We never got a planetary designation. It was actually stated that by the time the Federation forms and Kirk is from, the planet is still unknown to the galaxy. It's cloaked, it's hidden, nobody knows about it. So it would definitely be something Picard and crew would not have encountered yet during their time, so they wouldn't be able to say, oh, you're from that planet over there. Still a mystery to them. Why or how they've interacted with Guinan, not sure about that either, but I'm going to go out on a limb right now, and it's not very far of a limb because I think it's pretty much confirmed. Isis, the cat from Assignment Earth in TOS Season 2, intended to be a backdoor pilot, is this character, is this version of Laris, is this Watcher. Will we hear anything about Gary 7? I don't know. I'm hoping they're all linked, but the technology, the powers, the reason for them to be on Earth, the reason for them to be in the galaxy, it all is basically a Watcher mentality, trying to watch and correct the way humanity and other species and other races come up onto the grand stage of the universe. Whether or not they're related to Q, I don't know. Watcher is Isis, Laris is Isis, and that is the 100% correct answer, in my opinion, for who the Watcher is. And I'm just hoping in a few days when we see that episode, we get a lot more information on what happened after Assignment Earth. But until next time, this is Wingrace. Do all those YouTube things, and computer, and program.